Oh, wow, that's a.
Oh, are you kidding me?
No,
this whole
I can
thing-
get the exact numbers.
But still,
But-
even if it wasn't under $200.
Is he letting you know when we're live, or?
Well, turn this on, I guess, so I don't forget.
In my opinion, nobody knew what MHS was, but everybody knows what NHS
Uh-huh.
is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming we're live. All right, we'll call the meeting to order, 5:30. Reading of the district's promise statement. We promise to provide a supportive environment where unique learning experiences empower all for their chosen life adventure. Are there any additional items for the agenda? If not, do we have a motion?
I'll make a,
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as shown.
That's Tim Elke. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
That's Tim Burke. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. 5, recognition of visitors in open forum. I don't believe we have anybody signed up for anything. So we'll move on to 6, reports and presentations. Student representative report.
Well, we just had homecoming last week.
Sorry, thanks.
We just had homecoming last week. The game was on Thursday, and that was new, but I think it was fine. And then we had volleyball on Friday. And a lot of people showed up to both, so I don't think there was any big issues with that. We had our Pep Fest on Friday. I think that went well. We did musical chairs, and then we did powder puff volleyball and then football. And we did makeshift parade, like a spirit walk this year, instead of doing actual floats, where the court walked on the road just for the elementary kids and threw candy, as did football, volleyball, cross country, and then student council. And I think the elementary kids really liked that, and I think it worked well. And then as for dress-up days and homecoming itself, I think the week went well, and we did lunchroom karaoke and other things throughout the week too that the students liked.
Lunchroom karaoke. I didn't hear about that. How
Yeah,
was
we did that last year, and then we did again this year, and I think
Okay.
it worked well. The kids think it's funny and they enjoy it,
Yeah.
so it's fun to do.
Cool.
Actually, they did 2 days of lunchroom karaoke.
Yeah, they did it on Friday. then, too.
Wednesday, and then they
Wednesday was
asked
so
to do
good that
again
we did
Friday.
it on
Oh,
Friday as well.
fun.
And it was pretty loud. You could hear it from the library even, but
Oh.
it was fun.
Very cool.
What class won the jug?
Oh, we didn't do that. We don't really do that anymore. It's just we have a door decorating competition instead of doing all the spirit points because that's a lot of logistics
Oh.
due to it.
Who won the door decoration?
I'm not even sure. It probably was Elke. She usually wins it. So
Well, I need to know so I can ridicule her. if
yeah,
she
she'll
did
probably
win.
know more than me on that. I know they voted on it, but I don't know the results of it.
She must have lost. She didn't come home and brag about it,
I
huh?
know, that's all I'll have to ask her. I forgot about that.
So all in all, it sounded like it went well.
Yeah, I would say it went well. And I'll talk about this in our Bulldog, in my report, but we have a group that wants to bring back some of the old traditions of homecoming also, that we can talk about.
Okay.
Any major issues outside of the school?
As far as the extracurriculars outside of the school, there were a few. And we send a email out to all families that it can go to law enforcement. So as far as I know, nothing got to that point this year. I did receive a couple emails and reminded some students to watch themselves, and maybe they don't want to participate in those activities, so. I did not get hit this year, which I'm okay with. So.
All right. Any other questions for Zach? Okay. Thanks, Zach. And as always, as we're talking, if there's something you want to pop in and talk about, feel free to
Yep.
say anything, okay? All right. Superintendent report.
Okay, we have a lot going on. So Wendy went up to a conference last week, and I've been talking with a couple of local superintendents about HR stuff. And I actually talked to Kurt Stump last week about something completely different. And then asked, he asked what I was working on. I told him HR stuff, and actually they're working on it also at this time. So he sent me the information of which agency they're using out of the metro to help them with their HR stuff. I've also reached out to Teamworks, who is a company that does that work. I actually have a mentor from Teamworks, Sherry Allen, the former superintendent in Mankato, who I work with and talk with. And then Wendy found out that Justin Kruger, part of Gallagher, the Gallagher agency that we use for our healthcare insurance, they have an HR department too that would help with this. So he was gonna talk with them this week and get back to us to see what they could do to help with the HR, some of the struggles we're having with our HR right now.
What are you actually looking for support?
To write, we need to rewrite job descriptions. They haven't been looked at in about 12 years. That would help, and then help with our comparable worth study, not only across our district, but across other districts to make sure we're being equitable with our pay. So those are the two big major things. HR, and then just how we're doing HR, having practices in place of, if we're disciplining somebody, this is how we're doing it. When we're doing an investigation, these are the specific steps we're doing it for that investigation. So everybody that is part of it is following the same procedures and practices. Any other questions about that? Okay, then today, shortly before I came in here, I met with Jenna Fromm from Palmer Bus Service. Talked about recruiting drivers and different things. We have a couple concerns out there that I expressed to her, so I've talked to Tim about them, but I've also expressed those concerns to her. We normally do an annual meeting. It just happened to be today was our annual meeting, which was great.
Sorry.
So, and I'll follow up with her later this week about the concerns I had with a couple drop-off points. Continuing ed, we have to have a committee every year that reviews our continuing ed credits for all of our teachers to continue having their license. All the teachers have mandated requirements, and then they have to have 125 hours of continuing ed in 5 years to renew their license. So this year, the states ask for our roster of who's on our committee, but they're also asking for our bylaws on how we decide which things we are approving and not approving. So I'm working on rewriting our bylaws for that, for our continuing ed committee. Then, couple more things. One thing I mentioned was that we've had some past graduates from the Bulldog Backers have asked about helping with homecoming, bringing back some of those older traditions, such as having past king and queen come in and do the crowning. The queen would have a cape also that got passed down from year to year. Talked about some of the activities that they used to do that we no longer do. So asked if they could be part of it. I talked to Paul, absolutely, they can be part of it, help planning it. I'm sure Zach would like some additional help.
I won't be here next year.
I know.
I would like some.
You won't be here next year. However, I did say we will have Snow Week coming up this winter. So if we want to start some of those, looking at some of those things, that would be a great way to start that. So they were all on board with that. I had one other thing I was thinking about. But that's it for right now.
Any questions?
You may be gonna be talking about this later, I may have forgot about, but are we still on schedule for the main chiller coming in late November or whatever?
Yes, main chiller will be here in November. ship date is November 14th. So, thank you for bringing that up. Also, the unit, the air handling unit in the gym, it's up and running. It's at about 60% right now because we still have the temporary socks on there while they're having the thermal duct built. So within the next week or two, we should have the thermal duct in there, and that will be working at 100%. The temporary chiller is now unhooked, so they will, I think they're draining it tomorrow, and then that will be gone. So they can still balance the system and everything they need to do without the chiller here. They just need the air movement. So, as knock on wood, we're sitting pretty good with.
Do they
that.
say what's the estimated delivery once it ships? Like how many days?
They'll give us that once it ships, they'll let us know. That's coming from Iowa, so it should be a couple days. Weight room is, they were finishing up the tile work today. They'll be back tomorrow to finish grouting it. So the only thing left in there is, the weight room side is pretty well done, except for new equipment, and we're getting 3 more mirrors to put on the walls. The bathroom side, they just need to grout it, then drop in the ceiling panels and drop in the lights. And then the shower side, which is now in addition to the training room, they have rubber flooring that they're putting in there. And also they have to drop in the lights and ceiling in there. So everything's getting close.
Good.
I bet you're ready to be done.
We are ready to be done and have those extra people out of the building.
Any other questions?
Has there been any discussion with Taher regarding school lunches?
Some, hasn't gotten us very far, but we've had some discussion with them. There's supposed to be fully staffed now, so talk about going back to real trays rather than the foam trays. And then I've had probably 3 or 4 of the meals lately, and I would say it's been fine. I didn't seem to have any issues with it. There was one day that I did hear some complaints, but I don't remember which day that was. But I ate here Friday and I thought it was good. That was hamburger, and the other choice was beef stroganoff. And I ate one other day last week. I can't remember which day it was. So, but we meet with them again on Halloween.
Okay.
With that, that reminds me, Kendra, about having a couple putting a couple microwaves in the cafeteria for kids that do bring cold lunch to be able to warm something up.
Good, yeah.
So
That's a good idea.
I did talk to Mike Dashner about that a little bit on where we could place them, so we're not blowing circuits or fuses or anything. So, and then
Would you want them kind of somewhere more private, secure versus people coming here at events and messing with them?
they would be on a cart, so they'd
Gotcha.
get wheeled in each day after lunchtime. So they'd get wheeled in a secure area.
I was just gonna ask the same thing.
Do the condiments usually sit out like that all the time?
Normally, they're put away.
Oh.
Are they not out? Are they
They're
out
sitting
now?
out now.
I think they were out tonight.
I don't know what tonight, but I remember one time walking in, maybe it was the last meeting, and I saw some kid over there messing with the condiments, and I didn't think about it.
Oh,
But, yeah.
I think they might be out right now.
But there are cameras, so that if something were to happen, they can go back.
There
and
are,
see
but
who-
are there shouldn't be condiments in it. It might be just the cart and the blanks. I'll have to look.
yeah, good to know. Have you noticed any difference, Zach? Is it getting better, same, different?
I'd say it's about the same. I mean, a little bit better because they have more staff now, and it's
Okay.
not just random stuff at the last minute. I still don't think like it's fulfilling everyone though, because the portions aren't always as big, but that's been an issue for maybe a few years now where it's not always been a lot, but there are other options too, so.
Okay.
Are there complaints in the elementary? Because what I saw, theirs didn't look terrible. It looked.
Well, the
like something
elementary
I would
goes
eat.
first, so they aren't
So they
usually
get
out of
the-
things.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Because what they were eating, I would eat. I didn't, but it.
The elementary portions are different than like high schoolers. so.
Right.
Okay.
It is. a
They're
small-
probably more full than high schoolers are, because they don't eat as much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, and like Zach said, there are different portions. Portion size changes from, I think it's at sixth grade, it
Yeah,
changes
for
and goes
high
up.
school.
You're just mostly hearing the complaints in the high school then.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions? Do you remember what you were gonna talk about, or?
No.
No, okay. All right, we'll move on to, well, I guess it's 6A again. Probably should be 6C.
Oh,
Oh,
Yep.
where'd I go?
did you change something?
I didn't change anything. I don't touch it. But
Should be C.
Superintendent mid-year evaluation summary, I'll just read off what I have here then. On September 19th, during a closed session, the JWP Board of Education evaluated the 2021-2022 performance of interim superintendent Jeremy Earler. 3 goals were discussed, as well as various other items. Actually, I probably should not really interim anymore, so take that off of there. The 3 goals are: the superintendent will complete all 4 phases of the Minnesota School Board Association Phase Workshop Series. Jeremy completed all 4 phases of the Minnesota School Board Association Phase Workshop Series. These classes were not required and shows initiative on Jeremy's part to understand what training the school board goes through. Number 2, the superintendent will develop and implement a COVID-19 plan for the 2021-2022 school year. Jeremy put together a team to develop and implement a COVID-19 plan and continues to follow the plan with great success. Jeremy and his team did a great job evaluating our plan throughout the year and ensured we at least followed MDH and CDC guidelines. This allowed the kids to stay in school while also minimizing the transmission of COVID. It shows Jeremy was looking out for the best interest of our students. Jeremy has also done a great job keeping the website up and knowing its need for ESSER dollars. Number 3, the superintendent will work with the administration team to create an onboarding process for the different positions in the JWP school district. Jeremy has come a long way in creating the onboarding documents. He's had a lot on his plate and continues to work on creating these. Other items discussed included behavior issues, new expectations, guidelines, and the implementation of community service, staffing changes, having to hire almost a completely new admin team and keeping everything going, activities issues, receiving the facts and making a final decision versus an initial decision and changing it. And then just a comment regarding the Waseca bus accident. People from Waseca were very impressed by attendance and care given by our staff and by Jeremy. All in all, the board is very pleased with Jeremy's performance. He will work towards meeting his new goals for the 2022-2023 school year, as well as continuing to address the previous goals and other items discussed. New goals for 2022-2023 are 1, implementation of onboarding process, 2, policy implementation, 3, job descriptions, HR, pay equity, and 4, superintendent board communications, including weekly updates. So, there. Any other comments or anything? Sound good? All right. We'll move on to budget information.
Enrollment is looking good, so we're actually up 6 students from last month, so, which is a positive. And enrollment just kind of, we know it moves around a little bit, but ours seems to be increasing, which is a positive for us. I think we have 1 more starting tomorrow.
What
So,
age?
High school. 8th grader. I think 8th.
Where do you find 3 juniors this time of the year?
Great question. Some of them are foster kids that move in, so we
Gotcha.
could expect them to move out at some point during the school year. But
questions?
Do our exchange students count as that
Yes.
total too? Okay.
So that would be 2 of the 3 would
Oh,
be,
there you
we
go.
have 2 exchange students.
I would explain that.
We have 2 exchange students that
Yes.
just started?
Yes, they just started, one from Italy and one from Germany.
Oh,
Okay.
any other questions on the enrollment? All right. Historical cash balance. Looks like it's going up again, so that's a good sign. I guess any questions on that? We don't have everything, the project done yet, right?
No.
Out of there, so.
But it's up about 15,000 from where it was last year at this time.
All right. Committee reports, Finance Committee. So we met on October 3rd and discussed the COVID funding update, the bond project. We had a lengthy discussion on the food service. We also talked about the levy, and just so you know, with the levy, we had, instead of setting up a new separate meeting to talk about what we want to do, if we want to under levy again or levy the same, we decided that we'll just bring that back to the whole board, and we can all decide that at one of our next meetings. And then an audit update, they were still finalizing that, that wasn't complete yet. And then interest income analysis. So, our interest has gone up again this year. So it's that money that we get from the Bulldog debit card program and some CDs and looks like a construction account and our general account. So our interest, we're getting more in interest again this year. So he's got it up on the screen if anybody has any questions on that. Any other comments from those that were in the meeting? Or any questions from anybody else?
The only other thing that he had mentioned that when we decided to have everybody involved with the under levying is when they came back with the, what was it called? The valuations of properties and stuff like that. The household properties went up higher than what they even anticipated, so the tax amount that they would be getting taxed would be higher than what we were anticipating too if we levy the full amount. So that's one of the reasons why we were like, let's bring it to the whole board and so everybody can listen to the whole discussion before we make a decision.
Yeah, and just a reminder to everybody that we did under levy 200,000, right? That
Yes.
was the amount last year, so that did help decrease taxes in our community. So the statement that they get out at the begin, must be the end of October they must be coming out, right?
Should be
The-
coming out anytime.
Yeah, last year did not reflect what we actually did, so, we're looking to either do something similar again, or, well, we just have to decide what we wanna do with the levy then. All right. We'll move on then to the consent agenda. As always, anybody can pull anything out that they wish. Any clarifying questions before we move?
You wanna just switch to National Honor Society on that one?
Oh, is that under the personnel staff?
Yes, yep.
Oh, okay, I was like, where is that? Did it say
I don't know if it
Minnesota?
matters.
Did it say
It
Minnesota
says
on this?
Minnesota, but I didn't
I
know
guess I didn't.
if it matters.
Yeah. Good change. All right, do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda.
That's Tim Burke. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
That's Tim Johnson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Old business. These are just the second readings of the policies with substantial changes. So we'll have one more, it'll be the final reading and approval, right, the next time?
Yeah, it'll be at our regular board meeting in November, because we typically don't do approvals at our
Right.
study session.
Right.
And I do have some changes on 5 of them, so I don't know if
Okay.
you want to,
We'll set up a time to meet.
okay.
All right, any other questions on those?
Can I talk about the facility use brochure?
Yep.
And Wendy, I want you to chime in also. The brochure it looked like this, it was two-sided, was gonna be a trifold. So Wendy, with her expertise, we would like to make it a saddle fold, so it folds in half with all the information, because this is a lot easier to do on the website. And it's still only gonna take up one piece of paper. So instead of being a trifold, it'd just be a saddle fold. And it has all the same information, just easier to read on our website. Because when you read this on our website, it gets a little confusing when you're reading down here, and then you gotta flip it over to go to the next page and line up the columns. So it's a lot easier if we were to do it this way.
Is that gonna be bigger?
Yes, it'll be
Okay.
bigger.
It looks pretty small.
This
so-
was a 5-minute trial.
Okay.
From when Wendy and I were talking this morning. So, anything to add, Wendy?
No, I'm just, yeah, that's like half the information, and and then when it's on the website, it'll be, like, that front page will be page 1, so you can read through it without having to figure out which page goes where. It's just when we print it, we just tell the printer to reconfigure and fold it in half.
Okay. I guess, what's the reason for printing them then? Would we have,
If somebody were to ask
For
or
a
stop in
copy.
and need a copy of it.
okay, so we're not probably gonna have any sitting out for anybody to just
We'll have,
take, or will we?
we'll have probably 15 to 20 sitting out to take.
Okay.
For people to take if they come in and need something, and then replenish as we go. But
Got
we
it.
won't print, we're not gonna send them out to everybody.
Okay.
Just because you talked about the website and that triggered some, we need to look at updating that. There's still teachers that are on some of those things that aren't here anymore. I was on one of our website for one of the, and I can't remember which one now. It might have been fall sports, and they had, I think, I can't think of her name now.
There was quite a few under. the
Yeah, that
activities
still
and-
had, that aren't teaching, or Megan Christopher was one for volleyball. But just, I think we need to look at keeping that updated, you know, especially with all the new people we do have here, so.
Yes, okay. Katie normally sends me a list and then I tell Mike about it, so, okay,
That was on that, so if you already
Yep.
sent it with him, yeah.
he's been out.
Any other questions on the brochure then? So have we started following those?
Nope.
Not yet, okay. And you've got all everything figured out, the prices of everything that you guys want? You just have to put it into the brochure and go with it?
It's in the brochure, it's in this, the original one,
Okay,
but because we're changing the format.
Got it.
It shouldn't change, but it's in here. So we should have everything ready for it.
okay. All right. B, final readings with non-substantial changes. Do we need approval on these today? Okay. Do we need to do them all individually?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I guess we will go down the line then. Do we have a motion for number 101?
I'll make a motion to approve the policy 101 as written.
That's Tim Elke. Do we have a second?
I can second.
That's Tim Burke. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. All right, do we have a motion for policy 201?
Make a motion to approve policy 201.
That's Tim Burke. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
That's Sherry Dashner. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Do we have a motion for policy 207?
202.
202.
Sure.
I'll make a motion.
Oh,
for
sorry,
Policy
I
202.
moved it up too fast. Sorry. That's Tim Johnson. Do we have a second?
I'll se-
Oh, go ahead.
I'll second.
That's Tim Burke. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. All right, now 207. Do we have a motion?
I'll
Oh.
make a, go ahead.
Had the last one, go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve policy 207.
That's Tim Elke. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
That's Tim Burke. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Policy 211, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve policy 211.
And that's Tim Burke. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
That's Tim Johnson. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Policy 212, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve policy 212.
That's Tim Burke. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
That's Tim Elke. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. And then policy 404, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve policy 404.
That's Tim Elke. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
That's Tim Johnson. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. All right. Safe routes to school.
So this is a resolution giving the city easement for the Safe Routes to School construction. I know there's some typos on it, but that is, I've emailed Clinton about it, talked to Clinton about it, asked him to correct them and send them to me, but I have not received them at this point. But this is just for the Safe Routes to School, for the temporary easement, the trail easement, and the final resolution for the easement. I'm still waiting to hear when they're going to start that path also. So,
They were still looking at doing it this fall.
they were
weren't
still looking at this fall, but if it's gonna be asphalt, then I don't know that they'll get it done this fall yet, because they'll be starting to shut those asphalt plants down.
Okay, so you need an approval from us, right?
Yeah, a
resolution? Okay,
resolution.
so is it just the one, or
It's
do we all three separate?
All three get signed.
So 3 separate resolutions? Okay. So, do we have a motion for the first one?
I'll make a motion. Do I have to read it?
Motion made for authorizing both a temporary
Correct.
construction easement and a final easement. Okay.
I'll make a motion.
That's Tim Burke. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
That's Sherry Dashner. So, Wendy, let you do the roll call for that one.
Elke,
Yes.
Burke,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Dashner,
Yes.
Hain,
Yes.
Cahill,
Yes.
Size.
Yes. Motion carries 7-0. Do we have a motion for the temporary construction easement?
I'll make a motion to approve the temporary construction easement.
That's Tim Melky. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
That's Tim Burke. And then Wendy, I'll have you do the roll call for that one then.
Burke,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Dashner,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Cahill,
Yes.
Elke,
Yes.
Size.
Yes. Motion carries 7-0. And then do we have a motion for the trail easement?
I'll make a motion to approve the trail easement.
That's Tim Johnson. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
That's Kendra Hayne. Oh, sorry. Schultz.
Hayne.
Okay. I just got to thinking about that. All right, go ahead, Wendy.
Johnson,
Yes.
Dashner,
Yes.
Hayne,
Yes.
Cahill,
Yes.
Elke,
Yes.
Burke,
Yes.
Size.
Yes. All right, motion passes 7-0. Number 9, new business.
Each year we have to approve the seniority list. It gets posted in the staff workroom, so it got posted a couple weeks ago. And then the staff has time to look at it. If they have questions, they can come talk to Wendy or myself. I've not had anybody come talk to me since it's been posted. So we just have to approve the certified and non-certified seniority lists.
And do we do that together or those
Separate.
separate? Okay. All right, do we have a motion for approval of this certified seniority list?
I'll make a motion for approval of the seniority list for certified.
That's Tim Burke. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
That's Sherry Dashner. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Do we have a motion for the seniority list for non-certified?
I'll make a motion to approve the non-certified seniority list.
That's Tim Melky. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
That's Tim Burke. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. All right. So number 10, resolution accepting donations with many thanks. We have a donation from the Bulldog Backers for $123.34 for science supplies. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the donations with many thanks.
And that's Tim Burke. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
And that's Tim Johnson. Wendy, roll call.
Cahill,
Yes.
Elke,
Yes.
Burke,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Dashner,
Yes.
Hayne,
Yes.
Size.
Yes. Motion passes 7-0. All right, upcoming meetings. November 7th is our study session, followed by the World's Best Workforce meeting. Do you have board members on that? Okay. And then November 14th is that special meeting to canvass the results of the election at 7:30. November 21st, a regular meeting. November 28th, a joint meeting with the city council. And we are planning on having that then,
Yes.
for sure? Okay.
Well, we're planning on it.
Okay,
We'll see if it happens, comes to fruition or not.
okay. All right. Otherwise, we are adjourned at 6:08. Thank you, everyone.
Might be gone. November 17th.
Like, keep a picture.